Hello everyone, this is Samiran Methi, Senior Lecturer in Computer Engineering Department from Praveen Patil Polytechnic, and I hope you guys know that we have started with chapter number 4, and the chapter number 4 will comprise of two videos. I have already uploaded the first video and this is the second video as well as the last part of chapter number 4. So the first part for today is TCP connection establishment, in the sense if the sender and receiver wants to communicate, so connection has to be established and among senders and receivers, and that is done with the help of three-way handshake protocol. The details for the same will be covered in this slide. Now firstly, to initiate the connection, SYN, that is synchronize sequence number message or sequence, is sent from the client to the server, which informs the server that client is likely to start the communication and with what sequence number it starts segment with, that is SYN equal to X. So this message, that is synchronized sequence number, is being sent by client to server, which is an indication that client will start the communication, as well as it also mentions the sequence number, that is for example 8000 sequence number will be the starting packet from the client. Now on receiving this synchronized sequence number from client, sender, or sorry, I mean the server has the responsibility of sending the acknowledgement message to the client that indeed it has received the synchronized sequence number message of the client. And secondly, at the second step as well, like SYN signifies the sequence number that will be started by sender. Similarly, in the second step, receiver also mentions its sequence number that it will start the communication with, and it is usually X plus 1 in case synchronized sequence number is X for sender. For example, if 8000 is the synchronized sequence number for sender, so for receiver or for the server it will be 8001, that is X plus 1. And finally, while receiving this second packet of receiver by the sender, it will send an acknowledgement to the receiver that it has indeed received the synchronization as well as acknowledgement packet from the server. Now client will send the acknowledgement to the server and the connection gets established with this third step. Finally, once the task of communication has been done, now termination of the connection has to be done, and for that we have termination mechanism, and for that we have these type of messages sent among client and server. So fin message will be sent via client. So suppose that client application decides it want to close the connection. Now this causes the client to send a TCP segment with fin bit set to 1 to server and to enter the fin wait 1 state. While in fin wait 1 state, the client waits for TCP segment from the server with an acknowledgement. So what they are trying to convey is when termination of the communication has to be done, so fin message set to 1 is being sent by client to server, and after sending of fin message from client to server, it waits for a while, and that is being addressed by fin wait 1 state, right. In the second step, when fin is received by the server that was sent from the client, it will send an acknowledgement to the client that it has received client's fin, right. And third step is client will wait again because it is in fin wait 1 state, and the waiting purpose is nothing but it is waiting for the server to send a fin message from the server side, right. And finally, step 4 will be fin from server. Server sends fin bit segment to the client after some time, where server sends the acknowledgement segment. So when fin from server is also sent to the client, now client finally sends an acknowledgement that it has indeed received the fin from server, and finally the termination of communication channel can be established after this step. I hope you have got the concept of termination mechanism. In case of doubts, you could post a comment on the Google Classroom. Fine. Congestion, regarding congestion, Now it may occur if the load on the network is greater than the capacity of the network. On a simpler note, what I could say is, if the sender is sending data at a faster rate, then the receiver is able to receive it, then congestion takes place. So here sender's fast rate is being shown as load, which is greater than the capacity, which is nothing but the receiver's capacity to receive the data. So if load is greater than capacity, that is the sender speed is greater than the receiver speed, then congestion takes place. So congestion has to be controlled, and for congestion control, this diagram could be drawn, and where they are trying to convey that x-axis is being represented as packet sent and y-axis is represented as package delivered. Fine. So what they are trying to convey is a middle path has to be accepted, that is sender's flow should be matching with receivers receiving. So middle path has to be achieved for congestion control, and they are also saying that bandwidth that networks need to allocate for traffic flow is effective bandwidth, in the sense sender is sending a data at that rate or at that bandwidth that the receiver is able to handle it efficiently. That is nothing but effective bandwidth. Difference between TCP and UDP, very important question, but we have already covered TCP and UDP in previous slides, so we won't go into detailed aspect of this. Then we have finally the last protocol as SCTP, that is a stream control transmission protocol, and it is a reliable transport protocol operating on top of potentially unreliable connectionless packets such as IP. So it is reliable as well, it is unreliable as well. So what they are trying to convey is it has both features of TCP as well as UDP. SCTP is a general purpose transport layer protocol which is designed to handle multimedia, that is audios and videos. Such type of data are being managed by SCTP. It is similar in role as the popular protocols like TCP and UDP. It provides some of same feature services of both, ensuring reliability in sequence of messages with congestion control. So reliability, congestion control, such type of services are provided by SCTP. SCTP is capable for providing the required services with better performance and reliability. Fine. So some of the services of SCTP is given: mainstreaming, process to process communication, which we have seen in the first video, reliable services, connection oriented services, and multi-homing for improved fault tolerance. Now what is multi-homing? There are more than one paths designed as far as multi-homing is concerned. Even if, for example, path 1 is failed, it has path 2. Even if path 2 is failed, it has path 3. So in the sense, fault is tolerated because there are various paths. So that is nothing but multi-homing. And we have SCTP features. It has the features of UDP and TCP. It is a message oriented protocol like UDP. It is a reliable protocol. It has some new features that are not available in UDP and TCP. It provides flow control and error control like TCP, and the packet format of SCTP is shown over here. You are supposed to draw this diagram, and SCTP transmits data in the form of messages, and each message contains of one or more packets. So again, SCTP in the form of messages, and messages are nothing but packets. The control chunks come before data chunks. Chunks are nothing but additional information about SCTP protocol. So the chunks could be data chunks, which consists of additional data information, and control chunks are information or controlling information for SCTP protocol. Fine. So in detailed aspect, we have source and destination port. We have already seen source and destination port. Such similar feature is there in SCTP. A 32-bit verification tag is there that guards against the insertion of an out of date or false message. So it doesn't allow false message to come into picture as far as SCTP is concerned. A 32-bit checksum is used for error detection. I hope everyone knows what is checksum. A chunk layout can be control chunk or data chunk. We have already clarified that chunk is nothing but additional information about SCTP. It has types, it has flags, it has lengths, right? And finally, we have SCTP data chunk. SCTP data chunk are used to send actual data through stream and have rather complex headers in some ways, but not really worse than TCP headers in general. So SCTP data chunk consists about actual data, and it also consists about additional information about SCTP data. So this was it regarding chapter number 4. I'll soon upload chapter number 5, and it's a request from my side, in case you have doubts you could post a comment in Google Classroom. Thank you for watching the video. Take care. Bye.